The Endless is a dysfunctional family of incredibly powerful beings that depict the very nature of all life forms and cosmic entities. They are immortal, omnipresent, and magically nigh omnipotent. They can change their appearance in any way and teleport in mortal and magical realms. However, they are bound by some complicated family rules, such as not falling in love with the mortal, as doing so guarantees the mortal's damnation, and they cannot spill the blood of any sibling as it will make them lose their magical protection. The members of the Endless are Destiny, Death, Dream, Destruction, Desire, Despair, and Delirium. Welcome to DCNES, and today let's get to know all of the Endless. The Endless are more powerful than gods, and they are not just an embodiment of the characteristics they are named after, but they are the concepts and natures themselves. They are as old as the idea that they represent, and definitely older than the fairy folks, gods, and other supernatural beings. Each of them has a realm in which they are the sovereign. Within their realm, they have a gallery containing the sigils of each of their siblings. They may contact each other by holding the suitable sigil or calling for that sibling.
Desire, I stand in my gallery and I hold your sigil.
My sweet dream, this is a surprise.
Destiny can summon the Endless by using his gallery of portraits.
Come.
The Endless also has a dualistic aspect where they also define their opposites. For instance, Death is present at the beginning and end of every life, and Delirium possesses a kind of logic that allows her to understand things that others do not, aside from being known previously as Delight. Their father is Time and their mother is Night, and Dusk is the distant sister of Night. In some situations, some Endless can fool or help their siblings. Dream was able to help Death in saving the soul of Prez, which indicated his influence over the afterlife. Desire has posed as the Dream of Cats, a version of Dream that convinced Destiny and Dream. If one of the Endless is extinguished, they are immediately reincarnated, but this will not occur if they are simply inactive. Dream, Death, Destruction, Desire, Despair, and Delirium were created by Neil Gaiman, while Destiny was created by Marv Wolfman. So without further ado, let's start off with Destiny.
It is I, Destiny of the Endless, who calls you.
The oldest and tallest of the Endless, Destiny is inconceivably the powerful embodiment of ideas and concepts tied to life that were fated to fulfill their functions. His fate is to walk alone throughout eternity and observe the follies and mysteries of mankind and write them down in the cosmic log. Destiny, together with Death, will exist until the universe ended and all life disappeared from the cosmos. When the universe dies, Destiny will die with it. He carries the Book of Souls, previously known as the Cosmic Log, chained to his right wrist, which consists of all past, present, and future events. He came into existence when sentient life forms started to have a destiny. In the map of the DC Multiverse, Destiny sits on the overvoid and covering the entire multiverse. The book is said to be heavy and bound in leather made from a beast that never existed. Reading aloud from the book is dangerous as it would make it an element in its own story. However, in a recent Lucifer series on the story of the devil at heart, Lucifer literally removed himself from Destiny's book. Destiny does not leave footprints nor cast a shadow, and he smells like dust and the libraries of night. His realm is called the Garden of Forking Ways, made with maze-like paths for his everlasting walks, containing all possible destinies of present, past, and future. Destiny is blind, but he can see the smallest details throughout the cosmos, including the patterns living beings create, and he is always calm, detached, and somber. His Greek name is Potmos, and he can resist Zeus's powers. Destiny has jurisdiction over prearranged courses of events, as well as the absence of necessity and constraint in choice. His book is a sigil in the galleries of the other Endless. He has statues of his siblings in the garden, and he has portraits of them that he uses when he gathers them. Unlike the other Endless, Destiny was created by Marv Wolfman and Bernie Wrightson, and he first appeared as a narrator in Weird Mystery Tales in 1972 and was a regular host of that comic series. He was also the dullest storyteller in The Secrets of the Haunted House. He then appeared in the Superman series to stop him from helping too much, as Metropolis will become dependent upon him, and in the new Teen Titans series on many occasions, warning them about their actions. Because he had a different creator, Destiny has been a frequent guest on other DC comic properties. Destiny had his own self-titled series called Destiny, A Chronicle of Deaths Foretold, released in 1997, written by Alyssa Whitney. The comic series detailed a story of a certain plague from history while framing it in a futuristic setting decimated by a new plague. During the time of the old necropolis and the murder of Despair, Destiny and the Endless went to the old necropolis to put her body to rest. The people of Necropolis have forgotten to do the responsibility of taking care of the ceremonies of the dead. Because of that, Destiny revoked the Necropolis' charter, causing it to be destroyed, and granted another village, called the Village of the Targe, to become the new Necropolis. Sometime in the 17th century, Destiny was visited by the Fates and was given a gloomy prophecy. He then called a family gathering of the Endless. The heated conversation between Dream and Desire about Nada, the former lover of Dream, set in motion a chain of events that would cause change and upheaval in Hell. Lucifer and Destiny have a contempt for each other, for Lucifer wants chaos and freedom, while Destiny seeks order. In the Brave and the Bold comic series, Destiny recognized that there were 4 men who were invisible to the book, whose activities were rewriting pages of the book and endangering the continuum. Destiny decided that these 4 individuals are the only ones who could fix it, so he broke the chain and took steps to place it in their hands. However, the Lock Lords saw this as an opportunity to get hold of the book. Destiny sought Supergirl and Lobo to retrieve the book. These invisible persons in the book were later called the Challengers of the Unknown. After a few fights by the heroes, the book was put under the Challengers' care. When Magistus was defeated, Destiny reclaimed his book. In the second season of the Sandman TV series on 2025, Destiny is portrayed by Adrian Lester.
I'll see you around.
Second is Death. Unlike the usual representation of the Grim Reaper, Death of the Endless operates as the powerful anthropomorphic overall personification of death and life and guides the deceased to their new existence, either the afterlife or reincarnation. She will do this until the very last life form died, where she is destined to close the universe. She also visits the newborns, provide a body with life to give second chances, and even gives someone immortality. However, she does not judge the deceased when she meets them. She came into existence right before the first living thing appeared in the universe. She is also known as Teleyut in ancient Greece, and she is the second eldest of the Endless family and possibly the most powerful. In her imaginary house, she keeps her floppy hat collection, her goldfishes Slim and Wandsworth, and her gallery. Her realm is called the Sunless Lands, where death guides souls after their earthly lives conclude. Death is not the end, but a transition, and she is depicted as a compassionate figure leading people to the next stage, even finding solace in helping them cross over. The Sunless Lands are not necessarily a place of despair, but rather a part of the natural cycle of existence. Created by Neil Gaiman and Mike Dringenberg, Death has the power to free the soul of a body, but she sometimes allows other death gods or demons take the soul when they have a valid claim to it, or if the deceased has a previous contract to a particular death god. Even if death is somehow terminated by some very powerful forces, she can instantaneously regain her old form and be reborn at that moment. She has limitless magical prowess that some of the Endless do not have, like creating beautiful and terrifying creatures and holding universes in a multiversal ball. She can cast illusions to ease the departed from the impact of their death, and she has omnipresence and omniscience. She is usually portrayed to be a pale girl dressed in black casual goth clothes with a silver ankh necklace and a marking of the Eye of Horus on her right eye. The Ankh is also her sigil. She is pleasant, perky, down to earth, and always a doting yet honest big sister figure for the Sandman or Dream. However, millions of years ago, she was portrayed as an aloof, snobbish figure, and the cosmic beings are actually afraid of her. Also, before becoming friendly, there was a time she thought that she had the hardest job and was usually sad because of it. So one day, she stopped doing her job, and in doing so, no one and nothing died, and chaos became worse. A young man made her realize the consequences of not having death, and a small girl asked her, "How would you like it?" From there, she resolved to become a mortal for one day every century and experience death firsthand so she can intimately appreciate her responsibility. In 1869, Death tried to stop Dream in his game with Despair, Desire, and Delirium. Dream was challenged that the power of dreams could save Joshua Norton from despair and taking his own life. Dream eventually won, and Death took Joshua Norton. On her first comic book appearance, Death scolded Dream for not getting a hold of her right after his imprisonment. She brought him to her work and it cheered him. Death also reminded Dream about Nada, his lover, whose soul went to hell for loving him. She helped Element Girl, a metamorph, die by telling her to talk to Ra, the sun god. Ra took Element Girl's life. When Lucifer retired, one of the souls released from hell was Edwin Payne, who, as a ghost, became friends with a boy named Charles Rowland. When Charles died, Death came to take him, but Charles insisted to take Edwin as well. When Death declined, Charles chose to stay as a ghost on Earth with Edwin, and Death agreed. These boys were later known as the Dead Boy Detectives and had their own series. Death also allowed Wanda Man, who was killed because of a storm created by a witch, to wave goodbye to her friend Barbie. When Dream was harsh with Delirium, Death advised Dream to apologize to avoid the closure of Delirium's realm. On a parallel Earth, where the Prince of Afterlife is Boss Smiley, Death took interest to Pres Ricard, who was a young president in that Earth. Death asked Dream to take Pres Ricard from Boss Smiley so he could travel between worlds to help the helpless. On the battle with the Kindly Ones, Dream allowed them to kill him so he can leave his role and save the Dreaming. When he was destroyed, Death took Dream. On Lex Luthor's near-death experience, Death helped him review his life, and she also gave additional lease on Madame Xanadu's immortality. On a 1982 issue of Swamp Thing, Death is represented as a middle-aged gentleman who took the soul of a recently deceased Margaret Brennan as his bride. In the Netflix TV series of 2022 of The Sandman, Death is portrayed by Kirby Howell-Baptiste. Third is Dream. Also known as Morpheus, Sandman, Kaikul, or Oneros, Dream is the overlord and personification of all dreams and stories that are not in reality. He usually appears as a thin man with bone-white skin, black hair, black or gray clothes, and 2 stars in place of his eyes. Most of the time, his eyes are blue, silver, or white, but sometimes red when angry. However, his appearance and clothes change depending on the people looking at him to make him more relatable. He can appear as Japanese, African, Arabic, and even as a cat or fox or even a Martian, wherein the Martian Manhunter perceives Dream as the dream god of Mars. His speeches in comics are written in white text with black wavy-edged background to give a dreamy feel. Even though he is mostly a heroic character, Dream is usually insensitive, self-obsessed, and prideful. He has a long history of failed love affairs and has reacted badly to his partners. Dream started to manifest when life forms became capable of dreaming. Dream was created shortly after death, as living things are born before they can dream. He has absolute control over sleep, dreams, nightmares, and even insomnia, and has access to all stories ever told, including how the Omniverse was created. He can project fear, stories and ideas to anyone's dream, and he can trap anyone in an endless loop of nightmares. He can introduce different ideas to minds of others, and he absorbs energies from dreams. He can heal wounds, create illusions, and project light. He has imbued his Dreamstone and Sand Pouch with some of his powers. His sand can put others to sleep and release dreams into the real world. His Dreamstone can focus his powers, and his helm that resembles a World War II gas mask gives him protection. He is the ruler of the realm called the Dreaming. In this realm, he can alter anything on a universal scale. He can create entities to follow his every command and change the landscape and weather according to his mood. He can travel from the Dreaming to the mortal realm, to the magical realm, and even to hell. Some of the significant inhabitants of the Dreaming is Lucien, the librarian of the Dreaming who was also Dream's first raven, Cain and Abel, the first murderer and first murder victim, Mervyn, a pumpkin-headed scarecrow who assists in the physical maintenance of the Dreaming, Nuala, a fairy who has affections for Dream, and Matthew, a raven who travels through the waking world on errands for Dream. Matthew was previously a mortal named Matthew Cable who died in the Dreaming. Dream took Abel from death and made him a storyteller in the House of Secrets. When Abel got lonely, Dream also took Cain to join him as a storyteller in the House of Mystery. The ambush bug once applied to become his wacky sidekick. In the map of the DC Multiverse, the magical realm of the Dream held by Morpheus is in the Borderlands, and it incorporates the Halls of the Endless, the Courts of Fairy, and the 12 Houses of Gemworld. Opposite of the Dream in the Multiverse is the creepy realm of Nightmare, which houses the Corinthian, the Goblin Market, the Land of Nightshades, the Boogeyman, the Witches, the Yet Hounds, and Bad Dreams. Dream of the Endless is top 15 in IGN's top 100 comic book heroes and selected as the 6th greatest comic book character according to Empire magazine. In the Netflix TV series of the Sandman of 2022, Dream is portrayed by Tom Sturridge. 10,000 years ago, in an ancient African city made of glass, Queen Nada was a young benevolent ruler without a king. One day, Dream, who was known back then as Kaikul, visited the city, and Queen Nada was immediately enamored by him. Then, Nada and Dream fell in love. They gave in to their desires even if they both knew there would be severe consequences when an Endless fell in love with a mortal. The next morning, a blazing fireball from the sun destroyed Nada's city, razing it to the ground. Feeling responsible for this disaster, Nada threw herself off the mountaintop, effectively killing herself. Kaikul appealed to her soul and told her he would make her queen of the Dreaming, but Nada knew darker things will still happen, so she refused his offer. Dream then condemned Nada to hell out of pride. In 6 AD, Dream foretold 2 futures of Rome to Augustus in a dream. One where the whole world is under Rome for thousands of years, and the other where the Roman Empire will last for only a few hundred years. In the 8th century, in the magical city of Baghdad, Dream was summoned by Harun al-Rashid to put Baghdad into the Dreaming. Dream agreed and put the dream of Baghdad City of Wonders in a bottle. In 1389, he gave Hobgadling immortality so he can have a friend, and agreed to meet once every 100 years. In 1593, Dream made a contract with William Shakespeare, who wrote A Midsummer's Night's Dream. Dream and the envoys of Fairy World were the audience of the play. Dream used this play as a sign of gratitude to the fairies, that they will live forever through this play. Sometime in the 18th century, Dream and the Corinthian met Destruction. Destruction showed him the Invisible College, where he found the intellectual advancements of mankind and feared the incoming future of nuclear wars. In 1789, during his meeting with Hobgadling, Dream met Johanna Constantine, who tried to kidnap him and Hob. Dream incapacitated her and her team by showing her the ghosts of her past. Some years after, she requested Johanna Constantine to retrieve the head of Orpheus, his son, from the French government.
Tonight, we will achieve what no one has even attempted. We will summon and imprison death.
Which one have I got?
On June 1916, the British occultist Roderick Burgess, leader of the Order of Ancient Mysteries, tried to capture Death but instead captured Dream. Burgess stole his ruby, helm, and pouch and imprisoned him in Witch Cross. Dream's imprisonment led to worldwide difficulties. Many people experienced sleep problems, and one of them was Wesley Dodds, the Golden Age Sandman. During this time, the universe placed some of Dream's essence to Wesley Dodds. In 1930, Dream's items were stolen from Burgess and lost. Alex Burgess took over in 1947, and in the next 40 years, the Order fell apart with Dream still as a captor, still declining to help in capturing Death. In 1988, Alex Burgess, now in a wheelchair, accidentally broke the binding circle holding Dream. Dream was able to escape and cursed Alex with a never-ending nightmare. On his way back to the Dreaming, Marco Polo gave him water, and in gratitude, Dream sent him back to the year 1273. Cain and Abel took care of him in the House of Mystery. When he got back to his castle, he found it in shambles because of his absence. Then the three witches gave him clues as to where he could find his helm, pouch, and ruby. Dream then met John Constantine, who told him that his pouch was stolen by Rachel, Constantine's ex-girlfriend. Rachel became addicted to the sand so much that it was the only thing keeping her alive. With Constantine's request, Dream took back his pouch and gave Rachel one last dream to die peacefully. Dream then met Etrigan and assisted him to Lucifer in hell to reclaim his helm. However, the helm was with Chrononzon. Chrononzon challenged Dream to a game in which they would alternately choose something in creation that would vanquish their opponent's choice. Dream used hope to defeat Chrononzon's anti-life. Dream won and obtained his helm back. Dream then visited Mr. Miracle and the Martian Manhunter because he knew one of their enemies had his ruby. Dream found his ruby with Dr. Destiny, but Dr. Destiny had altered it and it drained away a good portion of Dream's power when Dream touched it. Dr. Destiny then used the ruby to drive people insane. When challenged by Dream, Dr. Destiny crushed the ruby thinking it will also destroy Dream. Instead, all of the power of the ruby returned to Dream, and Dream returned Dr. Destiny to his cell in Arkham Asylum. Back in the Dreaming, Brute, Glob, the Corinthian, and Fiddler's Green were missing, and a dream vortex by the name of Rose Walker is becoming stronger. He sent Matthew the Raven to watch Rose Walker and found that Rose was looking for her brother Jed, but Jed was imprisoned by Brute and Glob in a fake dream dimension with a fake Dream King by the name of Hector Hall, son of Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Dream dismantled the fake dimension, freed Jed, and banished Brute and Glob and sent Hector Hall back to the afterlife. However, Hector Hall had a wife in the dream dimension, and her name is Lyta Trevor, also known as Fury, daughter of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, and Hector and Lyta will soon have a child. Dream told Lyta Trevor that the child she had been carrying in the dream dimension belongs to him and he will return one day to take him. This child is Daniel Hall. When Rose Walker's vortex power became stronger, Dream had no choice but to kill her as the vortex is absorbing all dreams. However, Unity Kincaid, Rose's grandmother, reclaimed the vortex power, then passed away, saving Rose. Dream found out that Desire was Rose's grandfather, and killing Rose would mean killing a family member, which would result in his damnation. Dream then realized that it was Desire who planned for the vortex to be passed to Rose. Dream then saved his former lover Calliope from writer Richard Maddock by overloading his mind with ideas for stories to the point of madness. During a family meeting, when Desire and Death reminded Dream of what he did to Nada, his former lover, Dream vowed to make amends and started his journey to hell to save Nada's soul. Dream then entered hell to find Lucifer Morningstar. Lucifer then used this opportunity to resign as the ruler of hell. Lucifer then casted out demons and damned souls from his realm, asked Dream to cut off his wings, and handed the key of hell to Dream, making Dream the new ruler of hell. This act made Death extremely busy and problematic in containing the souls freed from Hell, and Dream was clueless on what to do with Hell. Different representatives from Heaven, Hell, Asgard, Fairy, and other realms arrived at Dream's castle wanting to get the key of Hell. Odin offered him a glass ball containing Ragnarok and Wesley Dodds. Bast offered information about his brother Destruction. Azazel threatened to devour Nada. Susano Onomikoto offered anything. The Lords of Order tried to reason with him, and the Lords of Chaos intimidated him. However, he was informed that the Creator chose the angels Remiel and Duma, so he handed over the key to them. Meanwhile, Titania of the Fairy gave Nuala, sister of Cluracan, to become Dream's servant. When Azazel threatened him further, Dream trapped Azazel in a glass bottle and reincarnated Nada as a baby in Hong Kong. Delirium asked Dream to help her find their brother Destruction. They sought out Destruction's old friends, but they would die a day before their visits, which led to Dream thinking that certain forces are conspiring against their search. His son Orpheus was the one who told them that Destruction lived in a small Greek island. Dream and Delirium found and dined with Destruction, and Destruction was happy to see Dream is now giving more value to mortals. Destruction still declined to rejoin the Endless, and they parted ways. Dream returned to his son Orpheus and ended his life as payment for the previous information, and Dream grieved. Because Dream spilled family blood when he killed Orpheus, he became the target of the Kindly Ones. The Kindly Ones began murdering his creations and wrecking the Dreaming. Dream gave the Eagle Dreamstone to Daniel and said that if he dies, Daniel will be the new Dream of the Endless. He then allowed the Kindly Ones to destroy him to save the Dreaming, and Death took Dream. Dream's role in the Endless was then transferred to Danielle. Dream's death caused a disturbance across time and space. The Endless family collected the Book of Rituals and Dream cerements from Litharge, then held a majestic wake in his realm. Then his body was sailed off solemnly. Tom Sturridge portrayed Dream in the Sandman TV series of Netflix. Also known as Olethros and the Fourth of the Endless, Destruction is the personification of destruction and creation, but he prefers to think of himself as an instrument of change. He has power over the actions and processes of destroying as well as the act of making, inventing, or producing. Destruction is the process that fuels all the stars, thus, the hearts of the stars are his domain. He is usually depicted to be very tall, red-haired, muscular, and bearded man. In the earlier centuries, he is illustrated wearing a plate armor or a musketeer's gear. However, in more recent times, he is shown in colorful casual clothes while wearing hair in a ponytail, and he owns a talking dog named Barnabas. His sigil is a sword. Despite his fated nature, Destruction is the friendliest, sensible, and most likable of all the Endless. He was the peacemaker of the family and got along with everyone before abandoning his role. Destruction abandoned his role in the Endless as a matter of conscience. He left his realm and his responsibilities sometime after the turn of the 17th century. This is because of the onset of the human age of reason that would result in the invention of the atomic bomb that made him unwilling to be responsible for future nuclear wars. Nevertheless, he did not cease to exist. He simply stopped directing the affairs of humans for massive devastations. After departing from his family, Destruction attempts at various forms of art such as painting, poetry, and cooking, but was never good at it. He then attempted to learn about his own nature and exerted control over it. This is because Destruction is inspired by that suggestion that all of them can know everything. He believes that each Endless is really an overlord of opposites: life and death, destruction and creation, dreams and reality, destiny and freedom, despair and hope, desire and satisfaction, and insanity and sanity. In his travels, he passed through the village of Necropolis Letharge, a village responsible for the ceremonies of the dead. He explained to the young apprentice that a village like this is important so the spirits can have proper farewell rituals. He told him about the story of the old necropolis on how they have forsaken their sacred roles for the dead. In this story, destruction helped in the destruction of old necropolis when Destiny revoked their charter and gave it to the village of Litharge. In his absence, Destruction was sought out by his siblings Dream and Delirium. Destruction beforehand used many of his close friends as safeguard to make it difficult for his family to find him. These friends have been living on Earth for a very long time and were called the Old Ones. Some of these Old Ones are Bernie Capax, Etain, and Ishtar, goddess of love, former lover of destruction. These close friends unfortunately died one by one when Dream and Delirium were trying to visit them. When death took Bernie Capax, Destruction knew it was a warning. Destruction has a scrying pool that allowed him to see their fates, that he carries inside his made-up pouch together with his sword. When they found him, Dream and Destruction had a few verbal crossfires. Dream is baffled and angered by Destruction's actions, while Destruction is unable to understand Dream's perspective and focuses on trying to tell him the necessity of change and self-knowledge. Meanwhile, Delirium just wants Destruction back in the family. As an instrument of change, Destruction also foretold the eventual death and replacement of Dream in this meeting. Nevertheless, Destruction left again and gave Barnabas, his talking dog, to Delirium. When the old Dream died, he went to Daniel Hall, the new Dream, and gave him an advice about things that are changing. In the graphic novel Sandman Endless Nights, set billions of years before the events of the Sandman series, Destruction is represented with a different personality. He is depicted to be nervous and stuttering, which is in great contrast to the humorous and eloquent Destruction in the main series. Destruction is portrayed by Barry Sloane in the Netflix series.
Can I get you anything you desire?
Fifth is Desire. The twin sibling of Despair, Desire is the force that attracts life forms and galaxies together, which includes lust, wanting, and everything that motivates and stimulates all beings. He or she or Z is a stunningly beautiful figure whose gender is mutable, becoming male, female, both, or neither as the situation demands. Desire is usually referred to as sibling, most particularly by Dream, or sister-brother by the other Endless. For this discussion, we will be using the non-binary pronouns to identify Desire. Desire is a creature of the moment, and they blend in smoothly with whatever environment they find themselves in. Desire's realm of twilight is called the Threshold, which is located in the heart of a massive flesh and blood statue of himself. Desire's sigil in the galleries of the other Endless is a heart of cut glass or a silver heart. Desire is of medium height, smelling subliminally of summer peaches, and casts two shadows, one black and sharp-edged, and the other translucent and wavering. Desire's smiles are fleeting and sharp like sunlight glinting from a knife. They have dainty fingers and has a cat-like walk. Desire's skin is pale as smoke, and their golden eyes are tawny and sharp as yellow wine. Desire is everything you want, whoever you are, whatever you are. Desire is definitely the most wicked of the Endless. They are cunning, self-centered, taunting, manipulative, and calculating, but would always be afraid of death. This Endless seems obsessed with meddling in the affairs of the elder siblings, predominantly Dream. The provocation behind this is not clear, but seems to be merely a variation of childish sibling mockery, or the fact that gaining attention and validation is a natural part of Desire. Nonetheless, Desire is not totally unaware of the consequences of their actions, but considers those consequences ultimately negligible, a perception which angers Dream and Death. Sometimes, Desire collaborates with Despair and Delirium, possibly because they are the youngest half in the family. But Desire is much more distant from the other siblings compared to them. Despite that, Desire is not selfish when granting wishes to mortals. As desire is definitely the most aggravating of all emotions, she can influence anyone to yearn for another person, and they take special pleasure in annoying those who think they are above emotions. Destruction even noted that even if desire can be malicious, they are frequently right. A story in Endless Nights set billions of years ago shows that Dream and Desire were close siblings before. Dream thinks it was Desire's action that allowed Dream to have a loved one whose name is Kilala, a mortal from the planet Oa. Dream brought Kilala to a conference of cosmic beings which included Sto-Oa, the sun star of Oa. Kilala met and fell in love with Sto-Oa. When Dream saw Kilala kissing Sto-Oa, he shared the information to Desire, but Desire aggravated the jealousy Dream was feeling. Dream realized that this was a playful scheme made by Desire, and from then on, their enmity started. When Dream was trapped in 1916, many people worldwide had developed sleepy sickness where they fell asleep and rarely woke up. One of these was Unity Kincaid, who was raped by Desire while sleeping. She gave birth to a girl and then had a granddaughter named Rose Walker. Apparently, Unity Kincaid was destined to become a dream vortex, a being that absorbs dreams and can destroy the dreaming. However, she did not become a vortex because of Dream's capture. When Rose Walker grew up, Desire influenced Unity to transfer the vortex power to Rose. When Rose became uncontrollable, Dream almost killed her, but Unity took back the vortex. It was later revealed that Rose Walker is a descendant of Desire with Unity, and if Dream killed Rose, he would have been destroyed by the Fates. When Dream discovered this as another scheme of Desire, he confronted Desire and gave Zir a strong warning. Sometime later, Desire showed kindness to Tiffany, one of the victims of Destruction Safeguard. When Dream killed Orpheus, the family knew that Dream is doomed to be killed by the kindly ones. Although it was their plan to make Dream spill family blood, they actually felt sorry for Dream, and instead of being triumphant, they became scared. With the looming damnation of Dream, Desire closed off their realm and any communication. The Silver Heart was replaced by a dark void. The Threshold closed its eyes. When Dream died, Desire helped in creating an envoy that would travel to the catacombs in Litharge to retrieve the Book of Rituals and Dream Cerements. Desire gave this envoy a heart. In the wake, Desire expressed sadness on a eulogy. In the 2022 The Sandman TV series of Netflix, Desire is portrayed by Mason Alexander Park.
The answers are endless, Edwin Payne. Pretty name. Payne.
Sixth is Despair. Desire's twin sister, Despair, is the queen of misery. Her realm is filled with her pet rats and consists of a multitude of mirrors hanging in the void. Each of these is deemed to be the backside of every mirror that looks out onto different locations or beings. Sometimes, when you look into a mirror, you will feel the eyes of despair upon you. Despair came into existence when conscious life forms became capable of feeling downhearted and pessimistic. She can drive anyone to despair by sinking a small hook into their hearts. The power she held is over hopelessness, fear, and anxiety, and ironically, she also holds the power of hope. She is omnipresent, but not in a form usually visible to mortals. She is always naked, she doesn't talk much, but she is patient. The original Despair was murdered by a man about 80,000 years ago, and a new personification of Despair came into existence. The first incarnation of Despair was more conversational and self-assured than her second incarnation. Despair's skin is cold and clammy, her eyes are the color of gray skies on wet seasons, and her voice is eternally somber and monotonous that is little more than a whisper. Yet, she retains a cold, quietly intelligent demeanor. She has no odor, but her shadow smells musky and pungent like the skin of a snake. Even though she takes delight in sowing misery and sadness through tragedy and encourages it, she is not an active enforcer of mishaps and mostly allows misfortune to happen at its natural pace. She has a habit of self-mutilation using her hooked ring, which is also her sigil. Desire would usually invite her into plots against the other Endless, especially against Dream. Desire and Despair created a long series of conspiracies that eventually brought the death of Dream. Nevertheless, Despair seems to be quite fond of destruction, and she was very agitated when Desire cut off communication with the rest of the family. In 1665, Despair monitored the anguish brought about by the plague in London, and Destruction visited her and hinted his plan of leaving his responsibilities. In 1695, Destruction left the family, and Despair was the one who begged for him to reconsider. Historically, Despair and Dream are the ones who have been competitive with each other. Sometimes Dream wins, but sometimes it's Despair. Despair created the first house, the House of Whispers, out of rumors and dejection that can spread despair yet give comfort. This house was given to Arzuli. When Dream saw this, Dream created the Houses of Mystery and Secrets. From there, Despair created the House of Watchers and was given to Aesop, the teller of fables. In 1859, Despair has goaded Joshua Norton into extreme misery to the brink of suicide. She then challenged Dream to save him through dreams. Dream found that Norton craved success and respect, so he gave him the dream of being Emperor of the United States. Dream won because Norton died because of his dreams and not because of despair or sadness. A sect in Afghanistan called the Unforgiven declared Despair as a goddess and proclaimed all empty rooms as her sacred place. Delirium asked Despair to help locate Destruction. Despair refused to help, claiming to respect Destruction's privacy, despite the fact that she longed to see her brother again. However, the real reason is that she is afraid of Desire. Despair visited Dream and Delirium and apologized for not helping in finding Destruction, and she was tremendously sad after Dream's passing. In the Endless Nights novel, Despair advised Rao, the son of Krypton, that life will be more precious if he brings life to a planet that is inherently unstable, and a wonderful piece of art if only one person escapes from it when it explodes. Despair is portrayed by Donna Preston in Netflix.
Hi, it's me.
Lastly is Delirium. The youngest of the Endless, Delirium is the characterization of madness and confusion. She was first known as Delight, embodying happiness until a series of unfortunate events turned her into Delirium. Her realm is very abstract, almost entirely formless, containing altering colors, smells, shapes, feelings, thoughts that intersperse freely and without reason. Human minds will not comprehend her domain. Even she can sometimes become disoriented in it. Only the deeply insane can enter her realm unscathed. At the center of her realm is a sundial with an inscription in Latin translated Tempus Frangit or Time Shatters. Her sigil is a chaotic pattern. She smells of sour wines, sweat, late nights, and old leather. Her appearance is the most variable of the Endless. The shape and outline of her shadow has no relationship to that of any body she wears, and it is tangible like velvet. Her features constantly change depending on her mental state. Her eyes are badly mismatched. One eye is vivid emerald green with spattered silver flecks, and the other is vein blue. Consequently, she can bring both lunacy and sanity to anyone. Her childlike appearance and nature make her seem innocent, but she is definitely not when she visits mortals in their moments of madness. Death and Destruction are quite fond of her and protective of her. She loves her family and is particularly more affectionate towards Destruction, and she got Barnabas. Previously known as Delight, she transformed into Delirium before the dawn of humanity. There is even a statue of her as an older Delight in Destiny's Garden. Most of the time, her mind is all over the place. She often forgets the sequence of her conversations and comes out with eccentric and apparently irrelevant observations. In the comics, her speeches are drawn as letters with different font sizes on a multicolored background. On rare instances that her mind is straight, Her text speeches are written more neatly with nearly white background. When she was still Delight, her text speech is orderly written with a faint rainbow background. She can turn into a group of butterflies when moving. Delirium and Dream track down destruction. One significant moment there was when she blew a bubble in the shape of Totoro from the Japanese animation of My Neighbor Totoro. When Dream suffered agony, Delirium was able to painfully collect herself that she became symmetrical and almost normal, indicating that the light is still inside of her. She also exhibited some form of order when she narrated to Destruction the activities they took to find him, where her hairstyle and clothing almost turned to its original form. However, her story is still quite inaccurate. Delirium knows many things none of her siblings know. She insinuated that knowing everything can cause insanity. She is the only one who knows the pathways outside of Destiny's mazes. She foresaw the dancer Tiffany to be the only survivor on the building explosion, and also foresaw Dream's doom. Destruction suggested that Delirium had her heart broken, which caused her transformation from Delight. The tragedy of Delirium is her knowledge that despite being older than gods, she is forever the youngest of the Endless. Delirium is portrayed by Esme Creed Miles.
I'm the king of dreams.
So there goes the Endless. Astoundingly crazy powerful siblings that you wouldn't want to mess with. Aside from Dream, which one do you want to see more in the Netflix series of the Sandman? Or which one is your favorite? Do you also want an origin video of any of the other characters in the Sandman universe? Let us know what you think and hit subscribe.